welcome. My name's KathyA, and today I thought I would talk about my April favorites and flops for the month. I've used several different types of items, not just makeup, and I thought I would introduce talking about other things because I think there's more to life than just makeup. So I'm going to start with food because I have been enjoying a couple of things, particularly almost every morning. I've had a very stressful month. Some of you may know that finishing up my job, my previous job, and starting a new one is quite stressful. And so I've just spent the last week in the new place training, and so you know how it is when you're changing jobs and you're new and you have to learn things, and thank goodness everything's going well. I'm very happy. I think it's a great job, and people are very nice there. So I'm going to start off with food because I've had this every single morning and it's really helped me. And this is the Quaker Weight Control. And I know, it's oatmeal. It comes in these little packets, and my mother only made the rolled oats from scratch on the stove, and so I grew up kind of a snob to these kinds of things because it just didn't seem like these would have any taste, texture, or value to them. But there's 7 grams of protein and 6 grams of fiber in these, and they're very easy to prepare. I'm just going to show you this because it's something I learned that I didn't know before. So you basically take the bag and just put it into a bowl, and then there's actually a line here on the bag, and it is a coated paper bag, and you put the equivalent of about 3/4 of a cup till it goes to the line, and you can kind of see where it's going to the line. 3/4 of a cup, 2/3 to 3/4 of a cup of water, stays right in there, and you just pour it right in. So you've got, it's all self-contained. And then I add just a dash of salt, mix it up with my finger, and stick it into the microwave for 2 minutes exactly. That's it. That's all you have to do. And you pull it out, you can add your sweetener, your honey, your maple syrup, sweet and low, whatever it is that you put in it, and a little milk or whatever, stir it up, and you've got your breakfast cereal. And I think that it's absolutely delicious. This is the Weight Control instant oatmeal. They also have a sugar-free version, and then they have the regular maple and brown sugar version. So I just love these, and they've really saved me from the hunger pains in the morning that you get when you skip breakfast or you don't stop at the donkey on the way. So this was great. I've been using these a lot. And sometimes when I was running home for lunch, I would just pop one of these in the microwave. This is the Lean Cuisine Vermont White Cheddar Mac Cheese. This is almost homemade tasting. It's so good. The macaroni is not mushy. It's that larger kind of swirly macaroni, and the cheese is very natural tasting. This is one of the best frozen food meal kind of things that I have, and it's portioned out, so you can just, well, I eat one for lunch, so it's quite good. And that's a Lean Cuisine. Very, very good. So, got that out of the way. One thing that I really found helpful, especially when wearing flats, I have a low arch in the center of my foot, and my feet can get very tired and cramped. And so I was looking for ways to control the cramping and the tired feet and all that, and I thought I would get like custom orthotics. And in some CVS's and in some Walmarts, you will find there's a machine. It looks almost like a walking kind of machine, but you hold on to the 2 bars, and there's feet painted on this bottom thing, and you put your stocking feet into each of those, and then they tell you to lift one foot and put all the weight on the other, and then they register it with the computer, and it's all computerized. And then based on how your foot is being used, how you use your weight on your foot, they can figure out if you have a low arch, high arch, if you've got whatever problems, and they have custom orthotics. And they're kind of a universal fit. They do have women's and they have men's. And they have different, depending on what your situation is, if you're flat-footed or if you have, if you need arch support or if you have heel pain, things like that. This will help curb this. Now these are a little expensive, but there is a coupon for a rebate, and I can tell you that after 6 weeks you do get the rebate, but you forgot what it was, and it looks like junk mail when it comes. I think they're hoping you don't cash it. I don't know. But I wound up being the CF420, and you slip these inside your flat shoes. I don't think they work with high heels because the back raises your foot up just a little bit too high, and you can flip it out of your heel. If you get the cheaper version, like the CVS brand version, whatever it is that they're made out of, it's more of a rough texture that will pull your socks down. So you always have to pull your socks up from underneath your heels. But they also have kind of their version of the cushioned heel, the raised arch, and it is a universal size fit. But I do like these very much, and I did get my rebate, and I used coupons, and I used my cash bucks thing from CVS, so they didn't wind up costing me very much at all. But I'd highly recommend this if you have any kind of foot problems, especially as we get older. We need all the help we can get in those different areas. And the inserts, again, you just stick them heel right against the back of your shoe, and your shoe feels great, and you've got that arch support, and you will find that you get less tired by the end of the day. Speaking of help in different areas, this is Maidenform, and this is a one-piece body shaper, and what it is you put it on, you use your own bra, and you put this on underneath, you step into it. You can snap it on the bottom and unsnap it if you have to use the restroom. But this really holds you in, and I think it was somebody at the dress barn that told me, if you normally would wear a size large, get the medium in one of these kinds of things, and they pull you in a little bit better. They don't have as much give as the one that actually seems like it would fit you. So go one size down with these, and you will have a nicer shape. So these are really nice, and I especially like the fact that you can unsnap the bottom, because you know, Mother Nature calls, and you don't want to have to strip down, you know, everything that you're wearing to get opened up there. So anyway, I just thought I'd bring that up. And also, I was disappointed. This kind is kind of like the dress kind. It's almost like a slip. Remember the old school slips we used to wear? But these things ride up. They just ride it right up almost to your waist, it seems. And I think it's, if you're wearing hosiery, they slide right up the hosiery when you're sitting down because of the pressure they're supposedly holding you in, but you know, you're just pushing it out, and it's just making it no good. So these are not all that great unless you can figure out a way to fasten these so that they don't ride up. I did invest in an iPhone. Yay! I bought an iPhone 8 first, and it was a small, tiny little thing. And when you have a large Android and you go down, even though it was an iPhone 8 and everybody raved about it, it was like one of the best new phones that have come out, I missed my large size. So I actually did get back underneath the 2-week mark, and I got to get my phone changed out. So I have the 7 Plus now, and I tell you, I don't know what I would do without it. Mostly because of this camera. I think the camera part is just extraordinary. And when I was training, I was actually photographing some of the dials and settings for different types of things that I was doing. And it was so helpful, it really was. And it's crystal clear. I really, really love this. So I was debating between that and the Google Pixel, I think it's called. If anybody has that Google camera, can you let us know what you think of it, and if you like it, and if it's... I was told it's the next best thing to an iPhone. So I thought, well, why don't I get the iPhone? Okay, more embarrassing things. Bad feet, slimming undergarments, and now breast sweat. This goes into the chest area and just below, if you know what I mean, underneath the bra. This is wonderful, and they have small little tins of this in CVS, in that they have like a little impulse area now, and they have little mini ones of this travel size. Well worth it. I think this is just perfect. You don't need a fancy powder. You don't need to put the talc or anything. This is just great. This works good, and this is the original strength. Yes, it has that slightly medicinal smell to it, but you don't notice it, and the benefits outweigh any kind of inconvenience with that. So Gold Bond, this is the body powder. Underneath, you won't get that breast sweating, okay? Somebody else was talking about it, and I was like, oh, you know, and they had a different situation, and they were touting about something else, but somebody in their comments said the Gold Bond powder is the best. So I tried it, and I really do agree. So that's something for that, since the hot weather is coming up here in the U.S. All right, let's go into vitamins. I am enjoying, this is the vitamin C 250 milligram, and it's a gummy. They're absolutely delicious, like having a piece of candy in the morning, and we can't have enough vitamin C. I tell you, I always think that just an extra vitamin C every morning helps me get through. Knock on wood, I haven't had a cold or flu or a really bad illness this year, and I think really stocking up on my C has been very helpful. And this is CVS, and often they have buy one get one free or buy one get one 50% off, and that's when I tend to stock up on them, and they're really delicious. And this is the chewable strawberry magnesium, and I don't know if any of you knew about this. It's from a company called Finest Nutrition, and I believe I got this either in Walgreens or CVS. It is a chewable strawberry flavored small little pill. It's just a tiny little pill, and it's absolutely delicious, and you get that magnesium. And now magnesium works with vitamin D also, so you do need to have your vitamin D and calcium and magnesium. Those three things are real important. And I'm not a doctor, and this isn't medical advice, but I think this is one of those things that post-op from my gastric bypass, I have to have this. So it's one of those things I have to have. But I noticed that a lot of women can use this in general. I think we don't get enough vitamins in our food. We should, but we don't. From the advice of another YouTuber, it may have been Frugalista, I don't know, but she was talking about the Rose Flash Balm. And what I saw in Target was that they have a 3-pack. You get the cleanser, the glow tonic, and the rose balm all in one. This is $22, and I thought, what a great way to try all three out. Now, I found that the cleanser was very drying, and I think that this pack really is made for somebody with normal to oily skin. It is not really made for dry skin folks. I love the smell of the rose balm, which is like it's kind of it does feel sort of chapsticky and moisturizer together with a strong rose scent. And I wasn't happy enough with this that I thought it was good for aging skin or dry skin. I think this is more normal to oily, and I think if you have oily skin, you're going to love this glow tonic. This is a very popular item with YouTubers. I just never really got that because it didn't do anything for me, but it's because I have dry skin. So definitely, if you have oily skin, I think you would like this. This is a great introduction to these products. These are mini size, more like travel size. The full size run around $25 each, so it's nice to be able to test them out in this format. So again, it's not for me, but I think somebody with oily skin might love this. This would make a great Mother's Day gift too if your mother has oily skin. I read this, I think it was in Allure magazine or one of them, where this won an award. This is the Tresemme Keratin Smooth Color with Moroccan Oil, and I tried the shampoo, and they said that this one passed the 50 wash test, and it's basically made for people who have colored hair so that it doesn't strip the color out of your hair, because a lot of shampoos can really strip that color. And as soon as you get your hair colored, if you wash your hair, especially with like Head and Shoulders or something, that one's really rough on hair color. It pulls it right out. So this is supposed to be very gentle, and it passed the 50 wash test, which meant 50 hair washings did not really affect the hair color, and people liked it. It has a somewhat pleasant smell, slightly exotic. not bad. They paired it with the conditioner. I did not. I used a Joico conditioner that I've been testing out this month. So I do definitely recommend the Moroccan oil. Shampoo, Keratin Smooth Color, and it's this dark red color. So I did want to give a bit of warning. These are the Dazzling white pens, and I know that several YouTubers love these. You can find them in the Dollar Tree. Basically what it is, you know, you twist it up and this bleaching material comes out. You put it on your teeth and it whitens them. And this has probably about maybe 10 to 15 uses in it. They don't sell these anymore at Dollar Tree, and they still do sell the Dazzling white plates, but there was an episode of, I think it was NCIS recently, where one of the cadavers they were working on, the teeth were transparent and pulled right out of the cadaver's mouth, and it was almost transparent, and the guy said, oh, that's a bleachaholic. He's a guy that can't resist bleaching his teeth all the time, and eventually it takes its toll on your teeth. So it is actually kind of a dangerous thing, and it has been banned in the UK, and I think the European Economic Union, I think they also banned this type of device, because when we were talking about it, when it was very popular a couple of years ago, all the people from the UK were going, oh no, we can't get it. And that's why, because it's very dangerous. So it's one of those things, if you've got a big event coming up, maybe do it then, but I would not use this every day. I have been using the charcoal a little bit, but same thing, it is wearing away your enamel, so you have to be careful with these kinds of things. So Dazzle white pen, not a great idea. Also, I want to talk about BEENIGMA, or BEENIGMA, however you want to say it. It's a bee venom cream that's very moisturizing and hydrating, and the bee venom is supposed to be very good for your skin, as long as you're not allergic to bee stings. If you're allergic to bee stings, got a little bit of a problem. But I talked about this. I dissed it because of the marketing behind it. I thought it was kind of cheap that they offered the influencer $30 per jar if they sold it as an incentive motivation to, you know, talk about it in a positive way. And then I actually did like the stuff. It worked nicely on me, and the company contacted me, and they were, you know, really sorry that you felt that way, but could you say that you did like it and that it did work? And you know, and I said I will, and I did a kind of an apology to them, throwing so much shade at them because they had a lot of high quality bee venom in their cream, and that's why it cost a little bit more, because there was a little bit more of some of the skincare ingredients in there, whereas the copycats, and you know how Amazon has these copycat kind of products that seem to look like the same stuff, but there's lots of fillers and things in there that aren't necessarily exact. Well, I was researching, as you know, I was researching slime stuff in, you know, for skincare, and It Cosmetics has snail goo in it and everything, and I was happy to find out that they're happy. The snails are happy. They're not tortured. They're given a light steam bath, and then they're let, you know, to slither along in their field during the day, and they collect them, and at night they give them another spa bath, and they produce this snail goo stuff, or snail mucin as they call it. Well, when I was looking that up, I saw some things about bees and bee venom and how that is collected, and that's a completely different story. I was very, very surprised to learn that they electrocute the bees to get the venom. Now, bees naturally in their hives are very protective of the queen and the hive itself, and when they see an intruder coming towards the hive or towards the queen, they will lash out, sting whoever it is, and usually their stinger goes into whatever it is that's bothering person or whatever. The stinger goes in there, and without the stinger, most of their internal organs are attached to that stinger, and they die eventually. After they sting you, they die. So people who do the bee venom extraction have created, it's like a flat board with It looks almost like a xylophone. It's got wires going back and forth, and they place it in front of the hive. And it's electronic. It's like an electric wire. And what happens is the bees come out, and there's a collection plate underneath it. They're like, what's this? Oh no, we've got to attack it. It's too near our hive. And the bees get onto the electric wires, and they get shocked, and they naturally try to sting. Well, they don't lose, because it's a hard plate underneath and there's airspace between the wire and the plate, they don't lose their stinger. And they survive. They finally get off the wire and crawl away, and they survive, and they supposedly are fine after this. But I thought that was a horrible thing to do, especially with bees right now having so many problems with bee colonies dying, and it's a very dangerous thing for the planet. So I'm just thinking that maybe it's not worth a beauty product to do this to bees, because I can't imagine that it's good for them. I mean, electrocuting bees to me is kind of a strange thing to do just for a beauty cream. So once again, I'm throwing shade then at not just this company, but any company that is using bee venom in the cream. It may be very beneficial, but I'm thinking that I don't really want to support that kind of methods and support the cruelty of it. So anyway, all right, let's get happy here. I am happy with this, and this is ROC. ROC, I call it ROC. When I visited Switzerland in 1998, I went into a chemist shop, and I asked the woman in very bad German. I was learning German. I asked her for something for dry skin, and she pointed me to this brand, ROC. Now they sell this in CVS, and it's a little expensive, but this one, again, another coveted beauty award, and this is the Multi-Correction 5-in-1 Daily Moisturizer. Well, this runs around I think between $17 and $20, but again, with CVS, with their extra bucks and their specials that they have, and save $5 on a $20 moisturizer or whatever, you can get this for much less. I think it's really, really nice moisturizer right now. It's my favorite, and it's just a very nice, pleasant cream. And it has a lot of beneficial skin properties in it. So I've been using this exclusively this month, testing it out, and I absolutely love it. So it is a drugstore product, and I totally am into it. They also recommended the night eye cream, which I have not tried yet. This is the ROC, and it is the 5-in-1 Daily Moisturizer, and I totally recommend it. Also, this was rated highly on Ulta's website, and I was pleased to see that they had kind of a smaller version rather than the big version, which is quite expensive. The small version is $19. This is from Dermalogica, and it is a rice powder. Now they have one that's a plain rice powder that I think is more for people with combo to oily skin. This one is the anti-age version. This has charcoal in it as well. So what you do with this, and it is a little messy, is you pour a little bit into your hand, and it looks like a spice, like pepper or something. It's very thin, and you really only put a teeny bit in. I'm trying to think of how, there you go. That's probably about 1/4 to 1/2 of a teaspoon. And you just pour a little bit of warm water in it, mix it up, and then whoosh it all over your face. There is a little bit of granulated feeling, but the charcoal and everything else, after you've whooshed it around your face, just rinse your face, and you will not believe how wonderful your skin feels afterwards. So this would be the step you do after you cleanse your face with a regular cleanser, and then you use this exfoliant, rinse, and then you would put either your serum or your moisturizer on, depending on what your morning routine is. But Dermalogica Daily Superfoliant. And this is the $19 version. There is a large, big old honkin' huge can of it that's like $90 or something. I would just say get this to try it first, and you'll see that you like it. And I prefer to get smaller versions anyway, because you don't know what's going to happen over time. You know, I'd rather get 2 fresh ones than one big one that lasts longer, if you know what I mean. So, Dermalogica. The last thing I want to talk about is teeth. I had an upper plate because, as you know, I have a missing tooth here and I have missing tooth there. So I went to the dentist and I had the moldings done and I had a upper plate made, and it went in and it hooked onto the teeth next to it, and it looked very natural. It had a gum kind of upper part of it, and I was wearing it one day. I was going to dinner and I had them in. I took them out and I wrapped them up carefully in a Dunkin' Donuts napkin, and I put it in the center of my car tray, you know, because I had a small purse and it wasn't going to fit in there. So I knew that that's what it was there. There was nothing else there that looked like anything like it. So went in, ate, came out. I was driving and my husband was in the passenger seat. And when we got out of the car, you know, we're grabbing all our shopping and all that stuff. And he usually takes all the cups, napkins, everything else out and throws them away. So $1,300. And I didn't have my teeth anymore. So I went back to this, and I know that I did this before, but I want to demonstrate this again because this is really cool. These little plastic sort of beads, usually for a tooth, you take, it's usually about 16. Okay, it's usually about 16 little beads, and what you do is you boil water in a very shallow little cup, and you put these beads in. And I'm just going to demonstrate it. Let me go now and get the boiling water, and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is a cup with boiling water in it. I'm just going to drop these in. You see they're dropped to the bottom. I'm just going to take this and I'm going to stir it. And they turn crystal clear and they cling together. I'm just going to pull them up out of the water. And let them cool off for just a second. And I've got this little crystal clump of beads, and I'm going to make a little ball with it. See the ball? And I'm just going to stick that up in the little space. And it looks very dark at first. And I'm going to bite down just like they do with the molds. And I'm just going to shape it in. It looks very dark. Now I have one on this side already. See? This is really only for cosmetic use. It's not something you can use to eat hard food. You can drink, you can eat ice cream, you can eat soft food, soup. You cannot sleep in these. And that's the reason they make the plates. Just going to fix my lipstick here. Okay. Now as this dries, it's going to lighten up and turn white. And you won't have that space anymore where you're missing teeth. Now this is for cosmetic purposes. If you're going to a wedding or a big event where you will be photographed, this is very convenient. Now to get them out, they'll stay there as long as they're like holding on to the teeth next to them. Now to release them, what I do is I take a pair of tweezers and I have like a hot liquid, like hot water, and I just kind of move some hot water over to that side of my mouth to let them soften up a little bit, and I take the tweezers and I just yank them right down and they come right out. And you can reuse that little blob. So if your tooth falls out in the middle of your grandchild's christening like mine did, you can actually microwave some water, stick it back in, and it will soften it up again, and you can apply it in. So I think it's a great thing. And these beads, you can get them in a jar for like bulk beads, you know, very inexpensively. You can shape them with, well, you can with tweezers or whatever. You can shape them. I'm not sure how they would look for front teeth. I think they would fill a space nicely. But it's something like an emergency only if you have thrown away your dentures by mistake. So that's what these are, and I find them to be a godsend. I've kept them even though I had the denture plate made, and they really came in handy and saved me in the photographs for the christening. So that was that experiment. The next thing are eye creams, and of course I was watching Nisha and she was talking about the Olay eyes. This is a pro retinol eye treatment, and we went on, and so many of you, and thank you so much, many of you wrote to me with ingredient lists. You found ingredients for me. You gave me these very detailed lists, and in the comments some of you are there. Some of you emailed me with the list and wondered if there was a difference, and there seems to have been a difference with some of the older versions. In the UK, the red tube is a different type of eye cream. The white tube that says Pro Retinol Eye Treatment is white in the UK, and the ingredients were identical. So what Nisha was using was exactly the same as this. But unfortunately, for some reason, I didn't see huge results like she did, and I've been using it now 5 weeks. And I had this on one side, and I had my coffee bean cream on the other side. I was trying both of them. I saw no difference in the two. This is the coffee bean. It's like a caffeine treatment for under your eyes. It's very, very nice. It worked just as well as the OA retinol treatment, but I didn't see anything that, it was like this. I didn't see anything that was extraordinary about it, so I'm not sure I can say it was a miracle product. See, the tooth has turned white. So everything's fake here. We've got fake hair, fake face, fake teeth. And I've had my oatmeal and my new iPhone. We're all set. So stay tuned for part 2 of this. It'll be all the makeup products that I loved and hated this past month. There weren't as many that I purchased because I'm being very, very picky lately what I buy. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful week and have a beautiful day. Take care. Toodles.